because Kamaru Usman has already fought him. But having Belal Muhammad versus Colby Covington wouldn't be a bad idea either, because I think Belal Muhammad's been talking a lot of smack on Twitter at a lot of guys, especially Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards has said, "I'm not fighting you, bum." He's called him a bum, so there's definitely some beef there between those two. And Colby Covington's still ranked number 2 in the welterweight division, so I think if Belal Muhammad wants a shot at the title, well, you've got to face at least Colby Covington. And I definitely think that would be a good fight. 2 really big grapplers going at it. Come on, you can't get much better than that, especially for me as a grappling jiu-jitsu practitioner. Give me that shit all day. What the fuck is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Kevin Hoops Show. I am your host, Kevin Hoops, and we are honestly getting right into things today. Happy Monday, We're getting right into this week. We've got a big UFC 283 coming up this weekend. A lot of things have been leaking in this past weekend, so we're going to be talking about everything. We're going to be talking about what was leaked. We're going to be talking about the fights coming up this weekend for UFC 283. And honestly, let's start with the stuff that I already talked about last video. If you guys didn't watch that video, it was about Ciryl Gane versus Jon Jones. That fight is confirmed for the heavyweight title. Francis Ngannou has officially vacated the heavyweight championship UFC belt and might be going to the PFL. Who really the fuck knows? He did not sign his UFC contract, so he does not have a contract with the UFC anymore. So, hats off to Francis Ngannou. Yeah, I'm already starting to forget his name. Great. Moving on to the other leaked news, and there's two or three more things that I believe got leaked. One of them I'm not too sure on. The other one I am 100% sure on. It's confirmed by Dana White, and it is already on the UFC website, and that is Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards 3 now, actually. I believe they already fought once, and it was the second one. I could be wrong on that. It's the second or the third time these guys are fighting, though. And honestly, I've made a couple videos beforehand already about this on maybe who Leon Edwards was going to face, and I wasn't too sure because Kamaru Usman was talking about maybe fixing an injury or dealing with an injury or going through some surgery, but it looks like he's still on. And if anything, if the fight goes the way it did the first time these guys fought, or at least the last time that these guys fought, I got my money on Kamaru Usman all fucking day. For those of you that don't know much about Kamaru Usman, I didn't really know much about Kamaru Usman myself, actually, up until I watched him versus Tyrone Woodley. I believe they only fought once. They might have fought twice. They actually might have fought twice now that I think about it, because Woodley might have gotten a rematch. But he also may have not gotten a rematch because I know that he wasn't the most exciting welterweight. But with him being not the most exciting welterweight, when he was the welterweight champ, he was almost in the talks for being the best welterweight of all time, or, in the talks of, being the top 3 welterweight champs of all time. And until Kamaru Usman came around and took the belt from him, which honestly I don't think a lot of people were expecting when he did that. And since then, he's went on an absolute run through the welterweight division. He has wins over Colby Covington, Jorge Masvidal. Trying to think of other people off the top of my head. I really want to bring it up. Let's bring it up real quick. I actually think I have it right here. Bada bing, bada boom. Here it is. I don't think he's fought Belal Muhammad. He's fought Gilbert Burns. Don't think he's fought Stephen Thompson yet. Hasn't fought Khamzat Chimaev. And maybe another one or two guys. He's definitely has wins over more guys than that, but those are the title defenses that he's had, which are pretty big names and pretty big title defenses. And Leon Edwards was that one guy that was, hey, you haven't fought me yet, bro. I'm in the top 5, top 3. Let's fight. And they fought, and honestly, again, I had Kamaru Usman winning rounds 1 through 4. At least going into the 5th round, I had at least 3 rounds going to Kamaru Usman. So no matter how that 5th round went, I really thought Kamaru Usman was going to win the fight. And with a minute left. I don't even think it was a minute. It might have been a minute less than that. Leon Edwards comes out and boom, head kick, shocks the fucking world and becomes the champ. And that's what we love to see. That's why we watch this sport, honestly. It's an entertaining sport because of that reason. The underdog or the reversal can come at any point, and the whole fight can be flipped upside down in literally a matter of seconds. Really milliseconds sometimes. And that's why we watch. That's why I pay the money that I do to watch a fucking pay-per-view for those moments. So hats off to Leon Edwards, and good luck to him fighting Kamaru Usman. It is going to be a tough one. But if I didn't say it already, which I don't think I did, that UFC pay-per-view is going to be March 18th, and there's already another pay-per-view. I believe it's March 11th. So it's a back-to-back paper week, or it might be March 4th, one of the two. I think it's March 4th because that's when Jon Jones is fighting Ciryl Gane on March 4th. So a week break and then another pay-per-view happening in March, which is pretty exciting. I don't think the UFC does that too much other than when it's like International Fight Week or something like that, usually in the summertime. I think March might be a little early for them to do a double pay-per-view in a month, but hey, March might be the big one, and it is going to be in the UK. I do want to mention that as well. So Paddy Pimblett might be on the undercard on that fight, March 18th. Put it down in your books because I need Paddy Pimblett to show up. If Paddy Pimblett does not show up, I'm going to be a little disappointed, honestly. I think whether he had an ankle injury or not, he has had some good amount of time to recuperate. Not necessarily saying if he had a fracture, he's definitely not going to be able to fight then. But I do think that he underperformed against Jared Gordon, and he needs to show himself really quick, kind of like Sean Strickland recently just did. Sean Strickland just fought this past weekend, literally 2 days ago before I'm uploading this podcast, and the last time he fought was within 30 days from that. He fought in the last fight of the year on the UFC Fight Night UFC Fight Night. I think it was sometime in December, at the end of December, towards the end part of the December, like a week or two before Christmas happened. And within 30 days, he's fighting again and getting himself back into the win column. And I don't think that that's something that Paddy Pimblett necessarily has to do in saying getting back in the win column, but he definitely has to get the fans' point of view as in, all right, I am still a dominant fighter that you just call me on an off night that night against Jared Gordon. So if Paddy Pimblett can do something like that, that's what I'm looking for. And he's also probably going to want to fight in his home arena when the UFC doesn't come around there as much as they do to the T-Mobile Arena. So he's definitely going to want to get his hat in for getting a fight on March 18th. You can never count Kamaru Usman out. You can never count Leon Edwards out. We obviously know that. It's going to be an absolutely great fight March 18th. Another fight that is confirmed for that weekend, though, on that March 18th card is Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev. So that's going to be an interesting fight as well. I'm not exactly sure if that fight is going to still happen when that fight comes around, when it comes to injuries. I know that these fights are a little bit out, so things can happen. I do think, though, that the winner of Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman should fight either Belal Muhammad or Colby Covington. Obviously, if it's Leon Edwards, him fighting Colby Covington would be a better matchup. Because Kamaru Usman has already fought him. But having Belal Muhammad versus Colby Covington wouldn't be a bad idea either. Because I think Belal Muhammad's been talking a lot of smack on Twitter at a lot of guys, especially Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards has said, I'm not fighting you, bum. He's called him a bum. So there's definitely some beef there between those two. And Colby Covington's still ranked number 2 in the welterweight division. So I think if Belal Muhammad wants a shot at the title, well, you've got to face at least Colby Covington. And I definitely think that would be a good fight. 2 really big grapplers going at it. Come on, you can't get much better than that, especially for me as a grappling jiu-jitsu practitioner. Give me that shit all day. Again, the Justin Gaethje fight, I didn't really look too much into that, but he does have a fight confirmed And it is someone out of the top 5. I think Raphael's ranked like 12 or something in the division, so that'll be interesting. I can actually pull it up right here since I pulled it up earlier. Lightweight division. He's right out of the top 5. He's ranked number 6. So still going to be a tough fight for Justin Gaethje there. Just want to make sure this fight is for March 18th. So yeah, that is going to be in London. I didn't see. So the London card is actually already released for March 18th, and Paddy Pimblett is not on the card yet. So it doesn't look too good for Paddy Pimblett when it comes to that. And I know I'm kind of circling around there, going from thing to thing, but just looking at things again overall. I talked about it a little bit already. Sean Strickland. He got back into the win column, ladies and gentlemen. And if you don't know me, Sean Strickland just he puts a smile on my face just thinking about the fucking dude. If you guys don't watch his interviews and you want to watch some fucking entertainment, watch Sean Strickland. And honestly, Sean Strickland just brings out more of the regular me. I see a lot of me in him, and I'm like, damn, I got to be kind of more like that guy when it comes to just my personality and whatnot and let it shine a little bit more. But literally, he talks anything once in the interview. I really think it's more of like a regular podcast type of interview that he does whenever he is getting interviewed with the UFC guys. So hats off to him. I really do like him a lot. And the fight against Imavov was pretty back and forth in the first maybe 2 or 3 rounds, but when it came to the 4th and 5th round, he completely just kicked up the high gear, even though he said his cardio was kind of gassed. I think his cardio still was way above Imavov's, so hats off to Sean Strickland. Especially, he took this fight on 1 week's notice, to add on to the fact that he just fought last month. Usually you see fighters, again, have a 2 to 3 month training camp, because they don't want to have that risk of having an off day or not training enough. And this dude is just showing that he's a company guy. He's collecting those fucking paychecks. He's showing up when the company needs him. And he's just showing up in general. He talks the talk when he wants to, and he fucking backs it up and shows up to fight. He's not a bitch. No one can definitely call him a bitch. But one thing he's got to fucking do is he's got to stay off the damn motorcycles. I'm someone that has a motorcycle myself as well. I've gotten into an accident. But this dude's over here getting into an accident on a dirt course with no other traffic. Like, thank the Lord there was no other traffic or riders there, anybody else that could have hit him, or thank God he didn't land in a poor position where he would have been able to fight this weekend. Like, jeez. I know he's got into an accident back in 2018, which was a lot more of a serious actual motorcycle accident on the actual street. Which is no joke. I've had the same thing happen to me before. Road rash is not fun dealing with no matter where it is on your body. It fucking sucks. You start to fucking have like dragon scales, scabs on your fucking arms and wherever you fucking have it. And, you know, even broken bones can really happen very easily in an accident like that. It's not like a car accident. Your muscles and your fat and skin are all the protection you really have. Especially if you're not wearing that much thick of clothing like leather, which I start to wear now. You learn from your mistakes, obviously. Definitely needs to do that. Another big fight that happened this past weekend and someone to look forward to is Umar Nurmagomedov. I'm actually not too sure about his relationships to Khabib. I don't think that they are related from all of the news that and articles that I've been reading. Could totally be wrong on that. Let me know in the comments if I am wrong on that, because I'm not 100%. I'm not even 50% sure if I'm right about that. I'm more like 20 to 30% sure that I'm right about that. So let me know in the comments if I am correct on that. You guys can do some of your research. You guys probably already fucking know. So let me know. He had a really big knockout. If you guys want to watch that, it's actually on one of the lives. It's on the live that we did. We do a watch party for just about every single UFC event that they're doing now. Almost every Saturday we're going live with either a UFC fight night, a one championship fight night, which I actually fucked up. I said that the one championship fight was on Saturday and that we were going to do a watch party for that. And it had Mikey Musumeci versus Gary Tonin. Shout out to those guys. I'll get to them. But It was actually Friday night, and I completely didn't really do that much Friday night other than work out and roll some and do some jujitsu. But honestly, I could have easily done two lives this past week and done the one championship and the UFC, but we ended up just doing the UFC, which is a little fucked up for me because I messed up there. But I promise you it will not happen again. I will start to get more coverage on these one championship fights and the more organizations that do MMA in general. We're getting around to it. We are growing slowly but surely over here on the Kevin Hoop Show. But more about Umar Nurmagomedov. He had an awesome knockout. We had a cool reaction to that. We were literally eating our food, and boom, knockout. I think he had. It wasn't Dan Ige, but he had the left-right combo knockout, I believe it was, and made the guy literally go stiff like Ben Askren. It was absolutely fucking hilarious. Not hilarious. It was crazy to see. It was hilarious when my buddy Steven literally was like, dude, he looked like fucking Ben Askren out there on the fucking canvas. And I just started fucking absolutely dying because he did. He was honestly stiff as hell. Looked like he was paralyzed, and I was like, dude, I hope he's all right in the moment, just because it looked like he was down for about 40 seconds. He was out cold, like no response or anything. So I hope he ended up being all right. I forget the guy who got knocked out. I forget his name. But awesome knockout from Umar Nurmagomedov. Big thing though to watch out for him. He might be on one of these cards March 4th or March 18th. Who the fuck knows? Probably the one on March 4th in the T-Mobile Arena, because there's nothing really announced for that yet. And I think another big thing to look out for is that, because Dana White said he's basically going back to Russia for about 1 week, and then right after that he's coming right back to the U.S. because he wants to fight again. So who knows, we might see him on one of the February fight nights. We might see him on one of those February cards. Probably not the main cards or the pay-per-view cards, just because one is in Rio de Janeiro and the other one is all the way in Australia at Perth, the Perth Arena. So doubt that he's going to be on one of those two. More money on he might be a co-main or on maybe a main event on one of these fight night cards. There is a couple that are coming up, so don't forget to tune into the watch parties. We do go live for about every single one. We really don't watch the prelims too much, but we do watch the main cards. Not many people really tune in when we do the prelim shows, but if you guys want to start seeing us do the prelims, we can do the prelims. It'll be a little harder for us to get our food and whatnot, but we'll get it done if you guys want to see it. Just let me know down in the comments. Moving on, though, I want to talk a little bit more about. I kind of skipped over what I wanted to talk about to add on to the Usman versus Leon Edwards. I talked about it a few weeks ago, saying that I wasn't sure who Leon Edwards was really going to fight. I was assuming, and I actually predicted it right, that Leon Edwards was going to fight on the London card. But for some reason, I had it in my head that March 4th was going to be in London. I don't know if it was supposed to be or if they switched something and I saw something and they switched it. Who the fuck knows? Either way, I predicted it right that Leon Edwards is going to be the champ fighting in his home country in London. Obviously, if they're going to have a card in London, you want your champ to be from there. And right now, he's only the only UK champ, so definitely wanted to get that in March. Maybe that's why we see two fight pay-per-views in March in 1 month. You don't see that a lot. Maybe that's a reason why. Either way, I wasn't expecting Kamaru Usman to be fighting that soon. Mostly because he talked about, he wasn't, completely upset that he wasn't champ anymore. He talked about it on Rogan that he was kind of like relieved that it happened. It was kind of like he could fucking take a breath. He could have a few breaths. It was like the pressure was relieved from him. So he kind of felt a little relieved. And I completely understand that when you're champ, there's a lot of pressure on you. There's a lot of eyeballs on you. You're doing a lot more media, and just a lot more is expected from you in general. So I totally get that from Kamaru Usman. And I know that he was also dealing with a lot of knee problems and injuries in general. I might have seen something that his hand was broken or something. Either way, it was said that he was supposed to get surgery, and I completely had Colby Covington, Hamzat Chimaev, or maybe even Jorge Masvidal fighting Leon Edwards, because I know that they had a little bit of a beef. And this kind of caught me by surprise with Usman, because I thought it was going to be one of those three guys that I just named, either being Hamzat, Colby, or maybe Masvidal. And Masvidal maybe I think I said Masvidal or Belal Muhammad, because that's when they were going back and forth on Twitter. So that's when they were all going back and forth on Twitter. That's really where I thought, all right, Kamaru Usman's out of the picture right now. They're going to have probably one fight with Leon Edwards that's not Usman, and then if Leon Edwards still has the belt, Usman will fight for a rematch. That ended up not happening. But I predicted that it's going to happen in London, so at least I got half my prediction right. At least if you guys watch this channel somewhat religiously, we're guessing some things right. We're on the right path, if you know what I'm saying, over here on the Kevin Hoop Show. We're not over here or over there fucking talking about fake news bullshit. We're talking about real shit on this show. That's kind of what I wanted to prove there. That's why I want to toot my own horn of, I'm getting some predictions right over here. I know a little bit about what I'm talking about, all right? I see some people in the comments sometimes talking absolute shit or just talking absolute crazy things, and I absolutely love it, to be honest. So if any of you guys think that I was wrong, or if any of you guys think or have your own predictions, let me absolutely know. I love talking to you guys in the comments in general. I did talk about this a little bit earlier, but I really want to dig really deep into this. I don't know if I've done a Jon Jones video at all, but I definitely just did one on Sunday, releasing the Jon Jones versus Ciryl Gane got confirmed information. I tried to be on that as soon as possible, so hopefully if you guys saw that, I was your first news outlet for that. A quote-unquote news outlet. I don't want to be seen as a news outlet necessarily, but I do want to, update my fans or update you guys that watch this channel on things that are going on in the UFC, which is probably why you watch this channel in general. And that was something that came out really surprisingly on Saturday night, Sunday morning, and I tried to get to it as soon as possible. And I really think that, not to toot my editor's horn a little bit, but that video was fucking A1. If you guys want to watch a good video that's 10 minutes long, that to grade the Kevin Hoop Show, that's the video I'm going to hand anybody. That's the video to go to if any of you guys are new on the channel. Go to that Ciryl Gane versus Jon Jones video. The editing, the content in there that I'm talking about is absolutely phenomenal. I think there were some comedic parts in there that are pretty funny that I tried to add in and incorporate. But hats off to my editor. If you guys haven't seen him, he's the guy that does the lives with me, Steven. Shout out to Steven there. Did absolutely awesome job on the editing. I loved it. Even did he added my Ric Flair woo, which was just awesome. I think if you guys want to give me a fucking woo in the comments if you like the editing on that video, all right? How about that? Give me a comment of woo in the comments, all right? But moving on to the actual Jon Jones versus Ciryl Gane. I don't know if I've done a Jon Jones video in general. I might have. I know I just said that, but I think Jon Jones has been talked about coming back for a while. I might have said it might have been Conor McGregor and Jon Jones. That's the video I think I actually did. It might have been a podcast. It might have been like the Kevin Hoop Show number 8 or 7 or 6, one of those. But in the thumbnail, it's like Conor McGregor, he's really jacked. Jon Jones, he's really jacked. And I'm like, they're both coming back. And boom, once again, I'm fucking right. So hats off to Jon Jones. He's actually made it back to the UFC. I know he was dealing with a little bit of controversy after the 2020 fight against Dominic Reyes. I think he was like arrested for public intoxication or something like that. And I think he honestly kind of got lucky with COVID and taking a break. That might have been one of the reasons he did that. And again, I really wish Jon Jones, he's probably one of my top 5 favorite fighters that I've ever watched in the UFC. I've talked about this story a little bit in the past video, but Jon Jones is the second pay-per-view fight that I actually ever watched on the UFC. First being Conor McGregor versus Khabib, which was in 2018 in November, and then Jon Jones fought Alexander Gustafsson for the second time in that December and absolutely wiped the fucking floor with him. He did what he fucking did. It wasn't like the first one where it was a really close decision. He made it absolutely one decision, which is what we're used to seeing from Jon Jones. And that's another thing that I really want to get into about this Ciryl Gane matchup is if we are all forgetting what happened with the Francis versus Ciryl Gane, I might have talked about it a little bit, but I saw a Twitter clip of Francis Ngannou. I honestly forget. Let me bring something up real quick so I don't misspeak, because I don't like misspeaking at all. So we're going to go to rankings. We're going to go to the heavyweight division and Ciryl Gane. Let me see his fight history. So he has fought... All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. He has fought Francis Ngannou one time. So that's where I thought Francis was kind of holding back a little bit, but at the same time, Francis Ngannou took Ciryl Gane down. I don't know if it was how much. Actually, let's look at the fucking stats. Let's look at the fucking recap. All right. Boom. Pull up the stats right here. 5 minutes. It went to a decision. It was a unanimous decision, all for Francis. 71 to 79 total strikes. 79 Ciryl Gane had. Takedowns, that is where Francis obviously won. He had 4 takedowns, 4 of 5, 80%. Submission attempts, apparently Ciryl Gane had 3. I don't see really how that happened. Ciryl Gane had more significant strikes too. I think, if I remember correctly, both of these guys, it wasn't the most entertaining fight, which is why I didn't want to misspeak and why I thought they might have fought twice, because I wasn't sure if Francis had fought him again. But really, the only reason Francis won this fight was because he got those 4 takedowns. Other than that, Ciryl Gane looks like he kind of won. In my opinion, Ciryl Gane has needed to work on his takedown since then, and he's fought against, I think, Tai Tuivasa. Won there, but that wasn't any taking down at all. So I really don't think he's really worked on his takedowns that much, or wrestling, jiu-jitsu, any of that. And Jon Jones is an absolute fucking maniac when it comes to takedowns. Not only is his takedown defense perfect, other than against Alexander Gustafsson and maybe towards the end of his career now, but up until Alexander Gustafsson, he had not gotten taken down at all. And it was super surprising, especially because he apparently had no training in that first Alexander Gustafsson fight. So there's got to be something to be said for the skill of Jon Jones's grappling going up against Ciryl Gane, who probably has almost none. Ciryl Gane is known as a more technical boxer. That's the style that he brings to mixed martial arts. His background is boxing, and he's a very technical boxer. He has very good technical striking in mixed martial arts, but he has no fucking grappling. So that's just something I think that's going to be really, really big for Jon Jones in this fight. And honestly, I think we're going to see Jon Jones taking the fucking belt. And if you look at his last 16 or 15 fights, he has fought for the title or been defending for the title in each of those fights. The dude only fights in championship fights. And this one, he didn't even say, I need to fight for the belt. He just wanted to come back in the heavyweight division. This fight could have not been for a belt, and he still would have taken it. Dana White said so himself, and I believe him. So, honestly, I think Jon Jones is coming back to really prove a statement. I think he's going to come back and try and be one of the best heavyweights to do it in the heavyweight division in the UFC. I think he's going to try and pass Cain Velasquez, Fedor, all of the greats that we have known, Brock Lesnar, Francis Ngannou. I think he's going to try and pass all of them. And honestly, it seems like Francis Ngannou has ran away from this fight. Dana White has talked about the only reason that this fight didn't happen between Jon Jones and Francis, which would have happened, that was the original contract that they offered Francis and Jon Jones. The original reason for him denying that was because he wants to go fight somewhere else, getting the same paycheck, fighting lower level people where he knows he can probably win. So For that, I really did lose some respect for Francis Ngannou if that's true. I haven't seen much from Francis Ngannou in general. I've only seen the one side, so I don't want to completely write off Francis Ngannou, but I will say it looks a little bit like that. I have to admit, it looks a little bit like he's being a bitch. So shout out to Jon Jones and Ciryl Gane for showing up for this fight in the heavyweight division. It's going to be an absolute fucking wrecking ball show between two massive guys. We've seen Jon Jones in multiple videos nowadays where he's been working the pads and you see him and he looks like a giant. He's been lifting heavy fucking weight, trying to get there naturally, obviously. He's definitely probably been in the USADA testing pool, obviously, and passing with flying colors, or he would have been in the news for that. Like, he's been in the news for so many different things before. So he's definitely under the microscope right now when it comes to things like that. And my fingers are crossed, and I hope, knock on wood, that I'm not jinxing him right now. But fingers crossed that Jon Jones goes through all the way till March 4th and after March 4th with no problems. I do not want this clip to be used in a future video to prove things wrong. I really don't, but I'm going to say it now just in case, because I really hope nothing does happen to this guy in a negative way. I know he's been through a lot, and there's always two sides to a story, and I think a lot of people have only seen the media side of things, and that's a fucked up thing that happens nowadays. It gets me angry just thinking about it. Fucking shit happens to people, and sometimes people deserve a second chance. And obviously, in my opinion, Jon Jones has been given a second and third chance in the UFC's eyes. But if you really look at some things that have happened with him when it comes to the PED situation, the dude might have gotten fucked over for something that was just because the technology wasn't there yet when it came to testing for things. So who knows when it comes to that with the details, but either way, the dude is fighting this March, and I'm fucking down to watch it. I honestly cannot wait for this year of fighting. It's already starting off good with Sean Strickland, in my opinion, this fight night. And the regular fight nights, honestly, if you guys don't watch them, you're missing out. Not only are you missing out on good quality fights, like a lot of these fights go to a knockout or submission. All the highlights you see in a pay-per-view, all the highlights they get from there come from the fight nights. A lot of these fight nights don't go to decision until it's really the main event. So I really suggest, if you don't even tune into my watch party, start watching these UFC fight nights and then start pulling me up on the watch party, or start watching the watch parties first. I've got a timer down. I've got both fighters' things up, and you can see our live reactions. Usually we'll have some food and just be talking with the chat. It's a good fucking time. We all have laughs. So please tune into the watch parties. Watch one of the lives. Go back and watch one of the lives. Just go onto the channel and hit live, and I guarantee you'll have a fucking laugh just watching at us farting in the mics and shit like that. That's what we do. Let's see if there's anything else I got to hit on here. Talking about this shit. Oh, wow. There's actually a lot of shit I got to hit on this. Speaking of the whole entire fight and predicting fights, Ciryl Gane versus Jon Jones is obviously happening March 4th. And with that, we have Steve Bay actually coming out on Twitter and saying, March 4th, all fine with me. I got winner in July, which I thought was the most savage fucking thing somebody can do. Like, damn. He knows that shit's going to be asked to him in, like, the first question in any media that he does. And he knows that he's going to be the next guy up. So hopefully the UFC goes with that, because I'm already interested in it. I think plenty of people were interested in that, in Jon Jones returning in general. And I think that there was some talk about Steve Bay either going through some personal problems right now, family issues or something like that. I don't know. I don't want to speculate on that. Either way, or because it could have been an injury as well. I just haven't heard too much. I kind of just heard some things over through some channels, and hopefully everything's good by July for Steve Bay, and hopefully the winner of this fight can actually go against Steve Bay for the belt in July. I think that would be fucking legendary. And honestly, if it's Jon Jones versus Steve Bay, a lot of people that was already rumored to be Jon Jones' return fight. A lot of people were already expecting that fight, so savagery from Steve Bay stepping up and, saying it to the public, yo, I will fight the winner hands down no matter who the fuck it is. And, that's just being a that's just being a fucking man nowadays. That's the things you gotta do. That's what Sean Strickland just did, was showing up, stepping up when the UFC needed somebody, and being a fucking man. Another fight that's going to be happening, well, speaking of, that's all the future fights. This week, this actual week, we have got January 21st coming up. It's going to be, let me just make sure. Today's the 15th. When I upload this and you guys are watching it, it's the 16th. And then 4-5, yeah. So the 21st, this Saturday, is going to be UFC 283 with headlining Glover Teixeira and Jamal Hill. And on the co-main event, we are going to have Brandon Moreno versus Davidson Figueiredo. And it's honestly going to be a really big card. I think it's a little underrated. It's going to be in Rio de Janeiro. So that's always going to be exciting. I'm sure the fans are going to be absolutely wild there. The UFC hasn't been down there in at least 3 years almost now. Maybe 2 years now, for sure. And I definitely think that the Brazilian fighters are going to have some leeway or a little bit of a home field advantage there. I know they have a few Brazilian fighters. I don't know if Davidson Figueiredo is from Brazil, but I believe he has a Spanish background or a Latina background, something like that. I could totally be misspeaking there, and if I am, I'm sorry about that. But I believe I'm somewhere around the same spot on that. I'm somewhat right on that. But there are other fighters like Johnny Walker fighting on that, and Gilbert Burns, which I definitely know are both Brazilian. And that's just going to be some good fights. And honestly, Gilbert Burns is going to be fighting Neil Magny. And I think that fight's going to be pretty interesting for Neil Magny. Neil Magny's coming off of a win for sure. He might be coming off of a few fight win streak, a 3 or 4 fight win streak now. I'm not 100% sure on the win streak, but I definitely know he's coming off of a win. And it's going to be honestly a pretty important fight because Gilbert Burns is ranked right now, I believe, in the top 5 to top 10. I want to say maybe number 7, but I could be a little wrong there. Let's see. Gilbert Burns, where are you? Yes, he's ranked number 5, so right on the edge of number 5. And Neil Magny right now is ranked 12, so in the top 15. So this could really bump Neil Magny up a lot and is kind of important for Gilbert Burns if he wants to stay in the talks for fighting for the title. Because I believe Gilbert Burns is definitely on a loss actually right now, but he fought Khamzat Chimaev, who's really a tough fighter. Also just fought Stephen Thompson and won that, which is a really big win in that division. I know Stephen Thompson's ranked number 7 or around there, and also then coming off of a loss against Usman, so not something that you really want to see. But I do think that this is really important for Gilbert Burns to stay in that top 5 conversation and possibly fight for the title. Maybe Leon Edwards wins and you have Leon Edwards versus Gilbert Burns. That's something that I would definitely be interested in. If Leon Edwards wins against Kamaru Usman, he's got to do that first. And it's no easy task doing that, obviously. We've seen how many people couldn't fucking get over the task of Kamaru Usman. Almost being Leon Edwards until the final fucking minute of the fight. The Johnny Walker fight, though, I mentioned as well. I think that is going to be a pretty entertaining fight. We have Johnny Walker versus Paul Craig. I know Paul Craig's been in the mix of that division for a little bit now. It's a good middle of the pack fight though in the light heavyweight division. So I know Johnny Walker was up and coming like a year to 3 years ago, maybe definitely not a year before COVID. Around COVID, he was really in the talks to be the next rising guy in the light heavyweight division. And then he had a whole entire situation where he won a fight and did a celebration where he fell from standing up kind of like this. If you guys can see me, he was like this and fell onto his side and like this onto his side and completely fucked up his shoulder. So that really fucked his whole kind of trajectory up after that, at least. Maybe some people were putting money on him when they shouldn't have, or putting confidence behind him when they shouldn't have, and he just kind of shit the bed maybe. But in general, I do think that Johnny Walker still can prove himself and can still be an up and rising star in the light heavyweight division. He hasn't fought for the belt at all yet, so that might be an interesting fight. If he starts winning a good amount of fights, he might be able to move up in the division. Let's look at where he's at in the rankings in the light heavyweight division. He's in the top 15. He's ranked 12 right now, and Paul Craig is ranked 9. So, important fight for both of these guys. Again, it's a good middle-of-the-pack fight. Honestly, if he does win this, maybe if Jamal Hill loses, he could fight Jamal Hill next. Definitely a lot of things could happen for Johnny Walker if he wins this fight. There's a lot of people he could face that are pretty top guys and could maybe then lead him to a title shot after that. And that's something that Johnny Walker is definitely going to want after that whole entire trajectory mishap with the shoulder injury from a fucking celebration. Like, come on, dude. How could you fuck up like that? That's really all I've got for this week, though, guys, on the Kevin Hoop Show, on the podcast style of the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, though. I was kind of enjoying this podcast a little bit more, honestly. I was very fluid with my talking. I wasn't fucking up too much. I think it was a pretty good podcast from start to finish, though. Hopefully we're around the hour mark, though. I'm not too sure on that. Hopefully it's around an hour. That's where I'm kind of aiming to. If you guys are liking the longer form podcast style content, let me know in the comments. I'm always looking for you guys' opinions. Let me know any of the predictions that you guys have for any fights that I talked about. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys disagree, I already know you guys are going to let me know in the fucking comments, so I don't have to talk about you guys. Any of you guys that are just watching me for the first time, I should have talked to you in the beginning of the video, but fuck it, I'll talk to you now. Hit the fucking subscribe button, bitch! Please. But either way, if you guys are new, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. If you guys enjoy the podcast version and only listen to it on audio, or also listen to audio versions of podcasts, we are on Spotify, we are on Apple Podcasts, we're on Google Podcasts, on all the podcast platforms you can watch on Anchor.fm. You can follow all of them from there, or just go on Spotify and search The Kevin Hoop Show. You'll find me with probably smashing a baseball bat saying normal. I have to fix that shit, but I'll get around to it. And with that, have a good rest of your fucking week, ladies and gentlemen. This is The Kevin Hoop Show signing off. A bada bing, a bada boom. Jon Jones is back! Johnny Bones Jones, baby! Woo!